So that means if it's a holiday, do they have time?
They get, if it's an 8-hour holiday, they get 4 hours of pay.
Oh,
As
okay.
opposed to,
Got it.
Kathy, we budgeted for your part-time employees, part-time benefits, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to look at all the numbers to know exactly how it fits.
Yes, she is included on health insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So whatever the arrangement is as far as the city paying half for it, there's no policy, there's not the old manual. I don't know where that is.
But what we're talking about is coming up with the employee thing, this goes to all future part-time employee definition is exactly how they're going to be treated. If this one's already here, it's already been done that, so I just won't make any exceptions or.
I don't know if you need to make an exception. I mean, do we have any other 30+ hour employees?
We don't have any other half-time benefit employees.
We did have one. We did have one. The
We did have one other, and we don't want that.
I guess the question is, do we want to provide that half benefit, 30+ hours?
Some benefits, all benefits, they get no benefits, you know. So,
And the way you got it pretty well now, you got no overtime, no comp time, no longevity pay, no retirement, no vacation. Holiday pay for employees working 30+ hours is half pay rate.
So the only thing missing from that definition is what we're going to do in regards to their benefits.
Insurance.
Insurance specifically.
Yeah, but you're gonna pay, are we gonna treat them like a regular employee? We're gonna give them half benefit? Pay half of it? What are we gonna do?
So do we give the part-timers, are they eligible for retirement in that?
no, there's
No, it says
regular.
no retirement.
That's what it says now, but
Existing
Right now, I get retired.
What's that?
Right now, I get retired.
But you're full-time.
You're a department head, you're a salaried employee.
Yeah, you're a salary employee, you're full-time.
No, I don't think nobody's.
That's not a part-time.
Do you punch a clock?
You may be here part-time.
Then by definition, you're a full-time employee.
I just think that needs to be clarified.
Okay, fair enough.
That's my only concern. I mean, I'm good with that because I think under the current definition, if you're not a 30 or 40-hour employee, then the benefits are different.
Do we define
It says-
employee in a
yeah, it says 40 hours, and we need less than 40 hours.
Well,
No, it just says
well,
part-time
that's
employee.
for a
But-
definition of part-time
But you should be
employee.
an exempt employee.
Yes,
You
you
should be
should
an
be.
exempt employee.
Whatever you guys think,
And then we just need to define exempt employees as being eligible for whatever benefits that a regular full-time employee is eligible for. Because again, I mean, none of what we do here is intentionally to hurt anybody or.
Yeah, so,
It's
yeah,
too
like
much,
I said,
it's
yeah,
any
exempt employee means any employee paid on a salary basis who occupies the executive, administrative, or professional position.
All right, so I think it's already clear that, I mean, maybe we need to specifically define
I'm sorry,
fire
what
chief.
page are we on? It's page 2. I mean, under exempt employees, it's a salary basis who occupies the executive or administrative or professional position.
So you would fall under exempt employee already?
So the other issue is just the question of what do we do with part-time or seasonal guys? From what I can tell, what has been happening is they have been getting TMRS benefits.
So they work 40 hours, but they work
He works
less than
40 hours, but he only works like 6
6 months
months
out of
or
the year.
4 months or 5 months or whatever we do.
Yeah, but, or, library people or whoever, some of the seasonal guys have been getting retirement benefits.
That happened, I have not.
They have all had.
Why would you
Everyone
want to
that's
take
ever
it away
worked
from
here has
them?
been getting retirement.
Why would you want to take it away from them now?
That's the question.
Well, because they probably shouldn't have ever gotten.
Because that guy only works like 4 months a year. And he may not be here but 4 months and he never works here again.
Well,
Well, no, if it's a part-time employee that works here all the
No,
time.
we're not talking about we're talking about part-time employees, but that guy is part-time. When he goes to work here as a seasonal employee, he works here for like 6 months and he may not be back next year. Right?
Well, but
And he may not ever be back here.
what Isaac's saying is that anybody part-time is eligible. Is that right, Isaac?
that's the current policy.
That's the current policy. So what are you gonna get down to? Are you gonna get down to you gonna put a definition in there for
So
a
how many,
part-time seasonal employee?
well, how many people are we gonna take retirement from if we change the policy?
In public works, one. I have one, typically have one seasonal employee here. And those, they're getting like $8-9 an hour. They don't wanna be
They
paying
don't care.
7% into,
Oh.
TMRS.
Well, I mean, here's a,
They do not have
Yeah.
choice.
what we have right now is if you work 29 hours a week for the city, even if you work 52 weeks a year, you get no benefits. As a full-time-
Which he would be,
Assigned job less than 6 months, part-time, or less than 20 hours per week, or 1,000 hours per fiscal year. Temporary, they're not eligible.
so he would have to be our 1,500.
If you're paying that seasonal, if that seasonal employee is paying into TMRS, you're paying an equal amount into TMRS.
Yeah.
Why do it?
Okay, done.
If it's just one person, I'm not saying anything.
For my guys, I don't see any difference.
Are these guys part-time looking for other work, or are they working
No, they
somewhere
work
else?
in the department, so they have a retirement, that's what we were talking about, they have a retirement. This is something that
I think for the most part, the part-time is pretty people who really have to be.
Probably. You're right.
Okay, so you want
Boy,
to change
people are
that?
touchy about money.
So number 7, you want to change that to 1,500 hours?
I think you just leave it out. I think if you're a seasonal employee, you don't qualify for eligibility for any benefits at all. No minimum hour requirements. If they're, as a department head, if you've got a seasonal employee who's reaching 1,500 hours a year in employment, you probably need to reevaluate their position and either offer them full-time work if it's available, or there's other things that need to take place at that point. I mean, then they're working full-time virtually. So, I mean, I think department heads are going to be responsible for that.
Okay, travel and training, per diem only for overnight trips. What was your idea on that?
Yeah, so
What was it in the past?
Whatever.
$15 a day for me. $15.
And that include mileage and everything?
15 a day.
No, that was the meal. Mileage was, handled under a different rule.
Well, this includes mileage and board, room, and food, all of it together, it doesn't?
yeah, pretty well. Yeah, but previously what's been happening is $15 wherever you go. I mean, if you're going to local training or if you go to Denton for training, it's per diem $15 a day.
So you gotta
My
get
understanding.
your room, your food, and your mileage, and that $15?
Just for food.
Yeah.
So
But
what is,
I don't see the difference personally, whether you're eating, lunch in Denton or whether you're eating lunch in Austin.
Well, but if you're eating lunch in Denton versus eating lunch in Aubrey, do we pay for your
No,
lunch here?
Austin.
Well, I realize that. I'm taking it the other direction. So
This
if you're
is-
here in Aubrey and you take your lunch break, do you get a $15 per diem?
no, because you can go home and eat.
You can go.
Not if you live 30, 40 miles away.
Or you've got,
You
the
bring
same
your lunch.
accommodations you have every day, the refrigerator, the microwave, which you may not have if you go to some other facility for training.
Fair enough.
Yeah, ours
Go to page 38.
is, actually, we have a 50-mile, anything over 50 miles is when that kicks in, but, I mean, you always do it by mileage if you wanted to.
So we're only talking about food, we're not talking about anything else?
No, it's just per diem.
Yeah, so like meals,
Per diem could be
it's-
your rooms and your everything.
no, in lieu of, so we have on meals on 2, meals will be reimbursed after costs, as supported by receipts, so you can do it that way, or in D, in lieu of itemized receipts of meals, per diem allowance is authorized for employees traveling overnight at a rate paid per day of $35 to be reviewed annually. Per diem will be provided only for those employees traveling overnight. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little prohibitive. I like the idea of a radius restriction. Although 50 miles, if things in South Arlington, you're probably at
Well,
that.
it's, whatever you said it,
Yeah.
Most of your stuff's where, Kitty?
I'm sorry?
Where most of your training?
Most of my training is in Denton, Louisville, Frisco.
And none of those are 50 miles.
No.
So you don't get reimbursed for your lunches?
I've never asked for it myself. My guys,
They need it.
that, yeah, a lot of them need it. And like I say, some of the facilities you go to, there's restaurants available. I mean, I've gone to training up in Denison, it's way out in the boonies. You got to drive every but, you know, and they may or may not have a refrigerator to put your side lunch in. They may or may not have a microwave. You don't know that. You know, what I've seen in the past is, you know, you pay for your own meal, but then you get reimbursed for it at a reasonable amount when you get back and present the receipt.
Yeah, that's
If I go to Denison and I eat, so I'm just eat 3 days, and I eat lunch, and Sonic every day, then
I'm fine with $15. I think we just need to
$25 worth of receipt.
draw a radius around the city and just make sure that it goes to Denton with all due respect. We shouldn't have to pay for your lunch because you drove 8 miles to Denton. But I'm picking on you.
What did you say about 8 miles?
What, I think
8 miles. Oh, okay, 8 miles.
The old policy says if you were in the metroplex area, they pay $15 for your lunch. And if you were out of town, they went by government. Whoever that government.
In 8 miles to Denton, you can't take 30-minute lunch
Can,
back home.
what are we talking about in terms of money? What was the budgeted for per diem?
He might have 10 days of training, right?
I probably have spent less than $100 a year on per diem. I guarantee you I've spent less.
What about the folks in your department? That's
I'm
cumulative.
talking about my whole department.
right?
Well,
I'm
the
not
library
talking about
has
me.
required CE hours, and we rarely have that line item in our budget, so we just have to buy our own gas and buy our own food. If I'm not mistaken, it's $500.
Well, I'm still confused about what per diem means. It just means food.
Generally, yes. And then
Well,
they
no,
get
per
reimbursed
diem,
for
the
mileage.
Latin translation is by day, so
Yeah, so when I've
it
been,
can mean anything. I mean,
when I've been on a job in the per diem, if you're gonna go be out of town, they'll give you $200
right.
to pay for your room and your gas and everything.
Yeah, but he's got it down there, broken down.
Right,
in
so
that
lodging,
deal in different
lodging
categories.
reimbursed, your mileage
He
be
just-
reimbursed.
It
Alright,
just
so
says meals,
we're-
then it says lodging, then it says, you know.
Yeah, but on this thing, it just says per diem only for overnight trips.
All right,
and
So
it's
that
like-
means if you just go, if you go overnight somewhere, you're only gonna get paid for your meals, your lodging and everything. If you just go to Denton, you're not gonna get paid for that. You know, cause it'd just be a one-day trip, you're not going overnight.
Well, I think if it's a trip out of Aubrey, we should reimburse them for their meals, for their lunch anyway.
Out of Aubrey period.
Yeah.
So if they go to Krugerville, they get paid.
Yeah, if they have to go to a meeting in Krugerville, they should get reimbursed.
What if
It's
it's
not gonna
half?
happen that often. Have a different rate, $35 for all day and $50 for one meal.
I'm gonna.
That's a great idea, Deborah.
What do you
It's a
say?
great idea.
That's a great idea.
Well, I think it's only fair, gosh. If I had to go out of town for work, I would want my lunch paid for.
This council struck because you didn't have any money.
Buy a case of main sausage, a case of Coke, keep it around.
I agree with the circle, maybe not 50, maybe
30 miles,
30.
whatever.
On page 39, it states that mileage won't be reimbursed unless it's over 100 miles one way, so. there's your answer.
100 miles one way.
Yeah, that's mileage, yeah. We're just
What was
talking
with the
about.
car
That's what we were
allowance?
talking about earlier, they were talking about.
No, this
mileage.
says if you have a car allowance.
Yeah.
That's only if you have a car
Yeah.
allowance. Under expenses not
So
approved.
what was your mileage reimbursement before?
Mileage reimburses at the federal rate.
Federal
I
rate.
think it's 15.
But what is the mileage limit after you go?
There was no limit. I don't remember what it was. There was no limit in the old policy.
Well,
No, I mean,
they should. They should. I think if the employee's required to go to the post office, we should pay them to go to the post office.
Well, the other issue too, is it's just a
Well, that's just the
liability
issue
perspective
we're
too.
talking about.
Yeah,
then this
We just
will
need
not pay.
some kind of policy.
Majority
30
of
miles.
the bills are paid for.
You don't get reimbursed for anything unless you're 30 miles away from the city. Mileage, food, I don't care what it is. I mean, look, part of the job responsibility is doing some of that stuff. So you got to factor that in, and it's factored into virtually everything that you do. And I hate to draw lines in the sand on this stuff because it sounds like, well, with the exception of people trying to turn in mileage for driving 3/4 of a mile to the post office and back, it sounds like most people have been reasonable about it. But the city's growing. You got to start making these stipulations.
But one of the things, the places that I've gone to, they furnish your lunch.
Well,
So,
We're
we're talking about mileage now,
they
though.
don't.
Oh, talking about mileage now.
well, both. I mean, I think we're talking about it all.
And 30 miles excludes 90% of my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to find the classes closed for that reason. I mean,
Well, and
I
council,
could send them to Galveston, but I don't.
council can reduce expenses by department just by not giving that line item, just like they always do. I think all the department heads are comfortable with a policy that's easy to understand and clarify, and this looks reasonable, but
I mean,
just have a policy.
I really don't care because if I've got a guy I'm sending to class, he can't afford lunch, I'll buy it.
I was
Exactly.
going to say the same thing. If he can't afford it,
I'll buy his lunch.
I'll
I'm
give
not
him
worried
$10
about it.
to buy lunch.
He's gonna eat lunch.
So all you did is you're just telling Isaac, you'd like to see a 30 mile.
What's the rule?
Everybody kind of think.
I do think there needs,
Lines?
well, hang on a second. I do think there needs to be another stipulation in regards to overnight stays. I mean, the 30-mile radius of approving an overnight stay is probably a little ridiculous. I mean, if you drive to Arlington for training, you shouldn't be able to take a hotel expense because you've traveled more than 30 miles. So
Okay,
there probably needs to be a secondary radius.
So where it says lodging, you put a radius in lodging.
On our court clerk training, if it's over 50 miles, the state pays for it. The state pays for our lodging. Then that's when the city kicks in, and they will pay for our night meal, plus our mileage.
So you want like 50 miles?
100.
100?
200. Shit.
So you got nine.
So
30 on everything, but overnight, 100 on overnight. Or is that
30 miles and how much?
How much per diem?
Yeah.
So I think
15 or 20.
I think $15 per meal is probably a more.
We get 35 per day,
Okay.
That's what.
and they can buy a $5 lunch and a $25 steak. It's really up to them, but 35 period per day.
And some of that depends on your meeting lunches or dinners. If you're part of a meeting that's all meeting at this expensive restaurant, you can't really sit there and not buy something, but you can certainly scrimp on breakfast.
Okay, $35 a day, 30-mile radius, $15. Is that what we're saying?
We go everywhere. We don't have a whole bunch of colonies.
And then a 100-mile radius on lodging.
For approved overnight stays. If we're going to pay for your overnight stay, you've got to travel more than 100 miles.
Okay, holiday schedule.
I hate to go backwards real quick, but on the,
Me too.
But we've been doing it all night.
the vacation and as far as being paid overtime, was there a decision made, and I just missed it on that? As far as hours, you must work so many hours to get paid the overtime, or is vacation and holidays not count against you?
We were just going to work on that part right there. Your salaries and then the vacation.
You're supposed to tell us what you want.
We're going to work on that part and get that defined.
So we're still working on it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're working on that.
What about comp time? We didn't mention that, and that's.
We were trying to stay away from that.
I know. It's not something I'd love to do away with.
Did you notice that I skipped right over that one?
You want to do away with comp time?
Yes.
I want more comp time.
No, because you can be paying in the end when you don't want to.
Did you see what that said?
No, they're gonna get
This.
What are we going to
Yes.
do with all the hours? Yeah, encourage.
Yeah, I mean that's my
I mean,
point.
we got officers, like Bill's been here for 10 years that have
I got all the
300
numbers
hours
with me.
of comp time.
You have
No.
I got all my numbers with me because that's what I was watching today.
See, I guess maybe I have a different definition of comp time. So let's say that there is an emergency in the fire department, actually water department, perfect example. You get an emergency in the water department and your guys have to come in on Saturday and work 8 hours. My preference would be maybe they cut loose a few hours early that next week.
Okay.
Flex time.
So I
We
have,
don't have enough to do
I have
that
an
already.
understaffed department already, and I'm gonna turn more people loose through the week. That's just gonna create more overtime for other people.
And that's why
Same way
Sergeant
that-
Townsend has thousands of hours of comp time.
And that's the problem with us is,
Well, you
if we
cap
send
it on
somebody
time.
home, we have nobody else, somebody else gets.
Well, you know,
fired.
that was an issue we were talking about, that if you have that much comp time and you have that much overtime, then up here, we're not doing something right because you can afford another employee.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd like to see on the
I don't
comp time
mind, cap it.
is go to a 48-hour cap instead of a 40-hour, because of us working 24-hour shifts. Kind of,
You got a 48-hour cap, so all you can have 48 hours?
well, it's 40 now.
Well,
By new policy, it says 40.
Yeah, that's what I said,
Yeah,
but that's
but
not,
our guys
that's not
work.
now, but that's what we're
Yeah,
proposing.
if our guys work, I mean, that's a shift and, you know,
So
not
you
quite
want-
another shift, so
You
I
want to
just,
cap it at 48 hours.
48 instead of 40 is all I'd ask on that.
Mike, how does that work if you've got someone on vacation or something? Doesn't that, I mean,
We'll pay
when could
overtime.
they even take comp time during that time?
It's no different than they're taking vacation.
No.
The only other issue I have with the comp time is I don't think, the policy says you must use your comp time before you're eligible to take vacation. I think that's an employee's choice.
I think that's great, but you got 12 months of the year, you can take a vacation or lose it.
There's some legal aspects in the comp time issue that relates to overtime, and I really don't wanna get into that.
Yeah.
I've seen other departments pay out the nose, you know, for comp time when officers wanted overtime.
I think that,
Even if they
I
took
think
the
the
comp
comp time and the overtime for the fire and police is something that, not tonight and not
Yeah.
here, that we need to work on, but I think, that we need to address that, but that just needs to be like a workshop by itself, just between those two departments and the
Yeah.
council, and see if we can, kind of get some of those issues resolved. Because we could go on all out about that, but we're gonna go.
Well, it's a double-edged sword. If you say you can have comp time, then you got all that overhead the city's gotta be responsible for. And then the other side of it is you pay the overtime up front, where you don't have all the comp time, so you're paying the same money either now or later.
But it's an issue that you can't resolve in the short time we got here, so. Holiday schedule.
You mean it's not gonna change every year?
Well, it hasn't changed this year because it's went just exactly like that manual says. Period, for the first time. Because we didn't set a different holiday schedule as the council.
Damn it, we forgot.
No, we didn't forget.
I'm
We just
sorry,
didn't
I'm
do it, did we?
teasing.
We just didn't do it. We just left it just exactly like the manual says. Okay, holiday schedule. What he is proposing is to remove a half day for New Year's Eve, add Martin Luther King Day, and clarify the 12th holiday, personal holiday anytime.
I don't think we should celebrate Martin Luther King Day.
That was Deborah going.
Yeah, it sure was.
That's a stupid
Move to
holiday.
Arizona. Oh wait, they passed it too.
That's a stupid holiday. It's only a new holiday, and if it's a new holiday, we shouldn't celebrate it. God dang, you know?
That's true.
Kinda takes off that
Yeah, there's
September
no
11th
reporters
for the
in here.
firemen though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's a law.
that's a law. Martin Luther King is not a law. Okay, I've expressed my opinion.
You certainly did.
Okay, so the first item is the half a day for New Year's Day being on the holiday schedule.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
We're taking
New
it off.
Year's Day is a holiday.
Yeah. So you're gonna remove the half a day for New Year's Eve.
Sure, why not?
Tommy said he had never gotten it before anyway, so. But you did this year, didn't you? So is everybody kinda, what's the,
I'm fine with it. I mean,
I think we should give them Good Friday off instead.
I don't
We
get
get
it.
that already, don't we?
Oh, you do?
It's on the list.
It's on the list, it's on the list. What we're talking about is just a half a day, usually people take a half a day for New Year's Eve and then they get it for New Year's Day.
Well, we don't in
I don't
retail.
take a half a day.
I don't take it off.
Half day's gone.
So you're a Scrooge to your employees. I've always been 42.
Yeah, but you know what? You're spending your money when you give them a half day. You're not spending
Well, they-
somebody else's
they
money.
don't
when you
really
give
work
them a
that half a day
That's the
anyway.
difference.
No, I'm sitting on my money, I pay taxes.
They just
Okay,
sit,
well, then give them a half day on,
they
on
just
the
sit
one,
up there and watch
the
cars drive by.
191st percentage of the salary. The tax
Yeah, they took our
I know from
personal
experience, 'cause I
holidays
did that when I
and
was a
gave
kid.
us 4 hours. They split it up 4 hours between different holidays.
So anyway, so
I know what it's
you wanna
like
get rid
working
of that one?
downtown.
The half a day?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
now, the
get rid of
following official holidays
Oh, that's what I was looking
are
for.
those right there.
That's perfect.
New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, now these are not the ones we have now.
We sacrifice good.
So which one did
President's
you
Day for
get rid of to put Martin Luther King Day in there?
Probably half a
President's
day.
The half
Half
day.
day.
That was for Martin Luther King Day or?
Yeah.
So you
Because
go.
the half day is
So we got a full day instead of half day.
Yeah.
I like it. What are you rapping about mine?
That's what I mean.
Giving them 4 hours.
No, they got a
They
first.
got more money.
No, they already had that.
It was?
It was just buried in the following language, so I just verified by adding it to the list, that's all.
There's 12
I
paid
just
holidays
tried
here?
to.
Yeah.
That's what this,
I got
that's
it.
what the rule said.
That's what we've had.
It was really
But-
11 and a half, I mean.
But originally, it was, New Year's Day is a half day.
Yeah.
I know what that
I don't get that many days off in a year.
That's why I'm thinking is we should
Let
take
alone
that
holidays.
second one out.
always
Don't get Good Friday.
Oh, I'm off. It's not from work.
We don't get
I don't
that
get
for
independent.
Don't get
So,
the day after
so on that, we
Thanksgiving.
have day after Thanksgiving?
We don't get that one.
It's the, I think it's.
Sometimes we don't get Christmas
The
Eve.
day after Thanksgiving is a practical holiday. I mean, asking people
On
to
the
work on
Christmas Eve, we get a half a day. We get off at noon.
I think this is
Christmas
correct.
Eve day.
Yeah, it does, but.
We don't
What
get
is the one that, what is our policy? Have you got our personnel policy, a copy of it?
current.
Current, with you?
Karen is with me. Karen has been Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's a pretty.
No, I don't mean what we've done currently, I mean what's in the manual.
This is what I have.
We'll never know.
I think
That's in the draft.
everything they got there, except for
So that's
Martin
the
Luther
draft,
King
that's
Day is not
Yeah,
there, and half day
yeah.
on New Year's Eve.
I agree.
He just put his notes off to the side.
Okay.
That's the only thing that's changed.
Alright, so the only thing that I changed from the current thing was taking away the half day and adding Martin Luther King
And
Day.
adding Martin Luther King. Okay.
Yeah,
So how many Mondays we all actually be working in a year now?
none.
Oh, we're only up to 11, we got 40 to go. Yeah, I mean 12, we got 38 to go. So, the thing that he was wanting to eliminate was the half a day, and then go to Martin Luther King Day, and then clarify what a personal holiday, anytime as allowed herein, what is that?
I agree.
I ditched the personal holiday.
It was considered like a birthday day.
Well, if you're gonna give Martin Luther King Day, that's what I think you just,
Get rid of the personal day.
Yeah.
Well, they've got overtime and comp days, they've
Well,
got
I think-
vacation days, they've got sick days, they got plenty of days.
And I don't want to split hairs, but I'd prefer to see a President's holiday as opposed to Good Friday. But you know, 6 1 half dozen the other for me.
everybody wants to be right.
Well, now, if you go to church on Friday
Not everybody.
afternoon, you gotta have that
Do a
one.
Take it as
President's
a
Day,
personal
do away with Martin Luther Day.
Say that again.
Do a President Day and do away with Martin Luther Day.
Someday you're gonna have to have.
No, we gotta have Martin Luther Day, because man, it's a holiday now.
One day, there's gonna be somebody here saying that not like the Martin Luther Day.
Yeah, someday you are.
Just saying.
2000.
Maybe never.
Say that.
We know our history, you know.
Out and added something. I just don't know what they added, but they took it out.
No, we didn't take it out of the personnel policy.
No, the 2006 manual, the one before that had it in there. It was Veterans Day.
Because I
that's
worked
what it
every
was.
Veterans Day, and I always laughed because I was the only veteran at the time, and I was always in City Hall. They were here too,
That's right.
so it was Veterans Day.
So they took Martin Luther King out prior to 2006. In 2006, they took Martin Luther King out as a holiday and added Veterans Day.
Well, I agree with that. But,
And then now this one is
I
added
don't
Martin
think
Luther
you
King
can do
Day.
too
Shit, I don't get any of those holidays, I'm just,
Y'all
y'all need to go talk to Ken.
so anyway, what do you want to do? Just take out the personal days?
I take up the personal day and I change Good Friday for President's Day.
No, we're gonna have to come to a good agreement here. We're gonna take out personal day, and we're gonna leave it like it is.
You leave it just like it is. Yeah, that's the way I think, yeah.
I'll drive by City Hall when it's closed, I'll drive by City Hall when it's open, no difference to me.
So that's kind of what we want to direct him to kind of do.
Ditch the personal holiday, leave everything else.
But City Hall employees have to work every day.
If you ditch the personal holiday, do we all get September 11th off?
No, that's a,
No, and
that's
there,
a swap.
and there is an
That's not an
issue,
addition.
you haven't got that one on there.
No,
It's in the policy.
It's addressed in there.
further down here.
Yeah, but you still need to have it in an asterisk up there.
No, because it's a swap holiday.
Right.
They can choose to have it instead of Veterans Day. Or not.
Which it doesn't affect us at all because we're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Just pay us for it, we're good.
It's all about the money.
Yeah, so it really doesn't make
It's,
sense.
it's a lot easier that way.
Okay, okay, we got that one right here. Next one is, vacation approval. Cap it at 80 hours,
What is bonus time?
remove bonus time.
Tell us what it was.
It was, and you can correct me, because I'm a little shaky on this, it was like a birthday package?
Yeah, some
Something weird.
birthday pay or some,
It was just odd, and I didn't
That
understand
was the
it.
personal holiday.
You get $10 for every year you are.
No, I don't think it was. It was just something that nobody ever just really ever used or anything like that. So-
Okay, it was just weird.
But it's in there.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be out of there. this
Deleted
time.
it, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so you're gonna cap the hours at 80,
Yeah,
and the time can roll over from one year to the other. You just have 80 hours total.
yeah.
Period.
So what if you already have 170 or 80?
You better start taking vacation days.
Well, that's
How can
that
you
question
take
with the
vacation
comp time
days?
and all that, because I can take 4.2 months off before I even make the max that y'all will allow me to keep.
You know,
How do I do that on a short staff?
Well, here's the other thing,
You know, we got comp time, we're not talking about comp time.
I'm talking about vacation.
Vacation.
I have 220 hours.
well, by state
So
law.
what are you doing here?
If somebody has. you
Who
can
else
take-
will be here? That's my point. If I leave, someone else is accumulating this time. If they leave, I'm accumulating this time.
Exactly.
Well, my only problem is with that is we have the FLSA, which you can have up to 3 months off. Well, according to the current policy, basically we're gonna pay you for a month of that time that you're off. We'll let you accumulate a month of it, so if you
That's
decide,
just vacation time.
so if she has a baby, no, well, even your sick time's capped out too, so. I mean, that's
We're gonna get in at 80, so you got 160 hours.
So you got a month. So you're allowed to take off. So if she has a baby, she's gonna get paid for 1 month. The rest of the time she's on her own. Another two months so that's the part.
She's gonna take out short-term disability.
Yeah, on FMLA.
Well, for
You just get paid for a month, and off for 2 months, you're just on your own. You don't get paid, you don't get any money.
No.
well, I think this is one of those things we need to look at because fire schedule's working 24-hour shift.
That's
And that 80-hour
It
cap.
just says you can take a family medical
That's right.
leave,
Yeah.
It's
and
just
with,
the time.
and it doesn't say you're gonna get paid or
No.
not get paid. You can just take that off and still retain your position and your job
Right.
status. You can come back and you're in the same status you were,
You don't get paid.
but you don't get paid at all.
You'll get paid a month.
Some problem in the capping.
Well, you might not even get paid a month, you don't have no time.
That's right.
Well, that's true.
So the best thing is don't have no pay, you take off 3 months.
There you go.
You don't have to worry about that on mine.
Some
No more?
of the problems on capping the 80 hours, like Bill, he's been here 10 years, he gets more than 80 hours to start with. The thing is, if he ever quits, we'll be paying him for 2 years.
I took 3 weeks off this summer, and about the 3rd week, I told you I was taking a week's vacation. You looked at me funny, and I think I still got about 160 hours of vacation.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what's killing us right there.
I think there needs to be a cap. I just think that cap's a little low.
Yeah, I'd go.
That's what we're here to talk
Go
about.
for 3 weeks.
I can tell you our cap for 40-hour employees is 240, and fire staff is 360. Because when they take off 24 hours at a time. So if they take a week off, they're taking at least 48 hours off.
2 of the places I worked for, you had a 150-hour cap on vacation time. 80's a little low, because like us being short-handed, you know, they're tell us we're gonna lose, so we can't take off, basically.
And I have been using my vacation since the library went down to 32 hours. Every time I can take a day off, I take a day of vacation, because I know I can't use it all. We've got a department with one full-time person, so.
As for the sick cap, I don't quite understand that one because if somebody leaves, you're only gonna pay
That's
only paying for so many hours. So as far as a debt to the city, the city's only, I think, liable for 40 hours maybe. That's really all you're gonna be out, so.
Well, it's capped right now, 40
Well,
hours.
I think
Sick time.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but if somebody leaves, all you're gonna pay out is that, so I mean,
It's
you can
40.
raise that, it's not really gonna really affect anything besides the employee's gonna have more sick
Well,
time,
I think
so if
40
you have
hours,
it.
I think 40 hours, sick time would.
I've never
Captain
seen
Dave.
anybody get paid for the sick time when they, left the job anyway.
That's what I was saying at college.
I've never seen a cap on sick time, but if you got
If you leave, you
fired
lose it.
or you quit, you did not get your sick time.
That's right.
I agree
What
with
about
that.
y'all, what about
There's no
retired?
cap on how much you
What's that?
accumulate.
If y'all retired, you get paid any of your sick time?
No, sick time,
You lose your
at
sick
Collin
time.
County, you gotta either, it's gotta be like for a chronic illness or death in the family. And if it's a chronic illness, you have to have a doctor's note saying it's a chronic illness that you're being treated for, like diabetes, high blood pressure, or something. But yeah, you don't get paid for it when you quit. It's just gone.
I agree with that.
You don't get paid for anything, no 40 hours.
Nothing. You get nothing. Not for
Has
sick
there
time.
been a thought of a sick leave pool that employees could donate to for an employee who had something wrong?
Catastrophic.
Now, I know the city has allowed a lot of the healthier people have given their sick time to other people in the city.
Yeah, we
Now,
got one
it hasn't
councilman,
been
Jim
by
Brown, that
policy.
he gave his sick time, he went over there and did that guy's daily shift while he was.
Yeah, but the
The
thing
Downs
is,
gave a lot of theirs to a variety of
you
city
get into
employees.
your audit, you're having a liability here, out here, that you've got to allow that money is that if somebody uses it.
Well, no, you don't have to have a liability if you're not gonna pay them when they leave.
If you put it in a pool, and they wanna give it to
If you put it in a
somebody,
pool, nobody ever gets paid for it. So there's no liability.
There's not any money, there's not any pay for that pool.
you don't
It'd be
have
just
to
a-
have that money set aside
No.
for that unused sick. Okay.
No, that's just if that person's sick, they would just donate their sick time and just come off.
I think that's a great idea, I think that'd be a logistics nightmare.
Yeah, but you need to.
Major
What's the
nightmare.
rate?
It is, kind of. It can be, that's one discussion you're having.
$18 an hour person takes off.
What you're trying to do is get rid of some HR issues and not create more.
Exactly.
So when you get to a pool and then this guy's giving 2 hours and that gives go 1 hour and that guy's giving 3 and this, that, and the other.
Like labor in Walmart.
But if Tommy gets sick, it'd be okay if I give some of my sick time to him. It's not going into a pool.
Yeah, I don't
If
care
he
what.
exhausts his,
Yeah, I wouldn't go into a pool. Yeah.
But if
The
he
problem
exhausts
that you
his
have-
and I know it, I can say, hey, I wanna give 40
The
hours.
problem you have is, like I said, still HR is that he's gotta deduct that from
Yeah.
yours and put it on his.
Yeah.
And
if you don't
the
get
other,
the same
well,
money.
the bigger accounting problem that you have is your sick time was accrued at a different hourly rate than somebody else's
Yeah.
sick time, and now you've got all sorts of problems that go along with it. Now, I'm generally in favor of wanting to help somebody in the city who's going through a tough time. I've experienced that in my private life with another employee of mine, and it didn't turn out very good for him, and he wound up having to work for months to pay back sick time that he borrowed from, worked years without taking any time off. But you just have all these accounting nightmares that go along with it. I mean, can Kathy's part-time, $8 an hour employee donate sick time to Tommy?
They don't
And then-
get sick time.
Well,
Yeah,
but my
I would
example
think it
still,
would be paid at my hourly rate to him, and I wouldn't expect him to pay it back to me.
Yeah.
Well,
It'd just be a donation that I make to him.
But I mean, that would be an issue if you donated it like that. But right now, we're just talking about capping your
if we're looking at
vacation at 80 hours, and we're talking about capping sick at 80 hours, and we're talking about only paying you for 40 if you leave.
Well, I agree with taking the 40 hours when you leave. I think they should not be paid anything when they leave for
Sick days?
Yeah.
sick days are to use when you're here to be sick. If you're not sick, you shouldn't take them.
You shouldn't be rewarded for not
Only
being
places
sick.
I've seen them pay sick leave like that's with civil service and things like that, we're not even for.
No, I agree.
I agree with you.
we get paid for if we retire, they'll pay you, but, I mean, yeah, it's unusual, but yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think you should be paid the 40 hours when you leave, but, I would still say, I think we need to look at probably raising that, I hate to
long's that guy off that hurt his shoulder?
A year.
Yeah.
But he got, I mean, he went on, doesn't work as comp injury.
Yeah.
Let's, how long is it before short-term disability kicks in?
It's 90 days.
90 days or something.
Well, I'm gonna ask a question to the department heads. Forget about all of the accumulated hours of your employees from the past. Let's look forward. Can you guys afford for your employees to take their vacation time every year? Can your department staff appropriately and still give your guys the vacation time that they are required? Tommy's shaking his head no. And I want an honest, legitimate answer.
No.
Kenny?
I have to bring somebody in off another shift.
Okay. All right.
I think with an 80-hour cap, that would be very difficult. If you're saying you're going to lose your time if you don't have 80, I mean, over the 80.
Well, I guess the bigger issue for me is the vacation time is there for a purpose. It's not to accumulate to get a big fat check when you leave the city. It's to give you time off so that you can recharge your batteries and do a better job in your position. So if we can't do what vacation time is intended to do, we've got bigger problems to fix. And I know we already know that. I mean, we just went through a budget discussion that clearly defined where we are. But I'd rather, I mean, the fact that you have how many hours of accumulated vacation time do you have?
Just vacation, 220, and I've whittled that 100 hours since the beginning of the year. I've been trying to burn it, but I haven't had a 2-week vacation since 07.
See, that's
I have
the thing.
170,
That's where
and
you
I
go
planned
back
a
to
3
your
week
cross
vacation,
training.
but now I can't
Well,
take it.
Okay?
No, that's,
You can't
do that with
cross-train anybody in
employees.
the
I
police
haven't been
department.
able, I've got over 300 vacation hours that they keep carrying over because there was nobody there to let me, to be able for me to take a job because there was no cross training.
Yeah, but
Now,
that's just small cities, and I don't care. You ain't never gonna get rid of that problem. The problem is, we're just talking about right now is capping it somewhere, and where is that point?
Well,
I agree there needs to be a cap, but it's just like,
I got an answer from Tommy. Going forward, can we afford for our, I mean, what I'd like to do is tell the employees, look, you've got to take time off. You can't work 52 straight weeks. I mean, trust me, I know. I haven't taken a day off in 17 months. And I can tell you I'm a lot less productive today than I was 17 months ago because I haven't had time off. I haven't had time to recharge my batteries. So going forward, Tommy's already said no. So his staffing in his department can't support the guys taking the time off. What about you, Mike? Can your department do it?
no, I don't think so.
What do you need extra in employees to be able to do it? How many extra employees? And that question's for you too, Tommy.
I would have to put pen to paper to be able to give you a good number.
Will you both, and Kenny, I think you're in the same boat. You've got guys that aren't taking time off too. And maybe even Kathy.
I can let my guys take the time off, but I need to be able to let them take some of that time off, a day here and a day there.
Sure.
Without affecting their overtime. Because I need John to be able to go to the zoo. when he wants to.
Did you factor in overtime into your budget when you submitted your budget?
Yes, overtime's always been factored into it.
Fine, as long as we're not. I mean, I don't have a problem with it if that's the way it was originally budgeted.
I believe it's 100 hours each employee a year.
So let me ask you something, Tommy. Could you hire one of your reserves or something to work their shift while they're off?
Don't think.
Legally, you can't. You cannot legally
That's
schedule.
why I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we've been trying to build up our reserves, and it's gotten a lot better over the last couple of years, but we're trying to get those active patrolling reserves so that way they can come out and our guys can take a day off here and there.
You know how we have, when the judge is on vacation, we have like these visiting judges. Can we not have a visiting police officer or visiting fireman that can come in and work the shift? That's a genius idea. I don't
You
know
can have a reserve work his shift, but the problem is getting that reserve to work the shift.
Right. Well, you can't get the commitment.
Well,
Yeah, because
we have part-time
you're gonna have a
for that
40-hour
reason, and it's still very difficult to get people to fill.
You can't really find part-time law enforcement officers because the dual commission problems.
Right.
They're not going to want to come in for part-time.
Mike and Tommy, will you guys?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
I know it's not going to be
Could you
easy.
do
Will
that?
you put pen to paper and figure out what you need in terms of staff to be? Because I think we're all going to have to look at this again next year, and we're going to have to. There are going to be even tougher decisions to make next year than there were this year because all we're doing is kicking the can down the road, right? I mean, we're allowing employees to accumulate time off and vacation time and sick time and all these other things and comp time. And eventually, when they leave, there's going to be a big fat check having to be written by the city that we're not prepared for. So the only way to solve that problem is to deal with the cause of the
We
problem.
wrote several of those.
I know we have. I know, and they're not fun to write.
I tried to get out here so I could collect mine.
But that's what we're looking at.
Big check.
That's why I'm saying, you know, why I'm going back to that, capping at 80 hours. Now, what is gonna be the cap
And
on
again,
vacation and sick time?
The idea behind the cap on the hours isn't to penalize you if you don't take time off. It's to force you to take time off. Now, I realize our current circumstances don't allow that. So we're you know.
I agree with the cap boy. I just think.
No, I got you. And I think the numbers got to move, but I don't know that we can deal with any of this really effectively until we know what you guys are needing in terms of staff.
Well, and that's the other thing. I would like to actually look at the surrounding departments, cities our size, and see what their policy is on some of this. Maybe that'll help us make some good decisions.
That's why we're having this discussion.
When I was at Brady, we had this similar situation there, short-handed all the time, nobody could take off.
Yep.
And they put a cap of 150 hours on it, we didn't gain any holiday or vacation time over that. But then they realized that we didn't have enough manpower like we have here to take off, and they ended up letting us sell our vacation back to the city, you know, up to 40 hours a year or 80 hours a year, sell it back so we could lower the numbers and not be pressured.
You know, that might be a solution.
Can we sell it back at a cheaper rate?
I will take half price. I'm telling you, I got the numbers right now. I will take half. I will sell it back to you for half the rate. Because I'm never going to get to burn it, and I know it.
Do I have any more bills?
Situation at Atlanta, they,
One of your co-workers in your department should buy it for half and then use it for zero.
one of the situations at Atlanta,
What do you want for it?
to do away with the comp time issue, they would only let you, they would pay you every September 30th for your comp time for the year. They stopped it then and you started over. Of course, they had, you know, pretty luxurious thing. They, you know, if you worked a holiday, you got the holiday pay plus comp time on top of it, and it built up through the year. They would pay you every end of September what your comp time was, so you would accrue anymore.
I don't know what they do over there now, but in Salina, we had a 160-hour cap, and we could sell back up to 40 hours a year.
There's a discussion.
Yeah, this is, I'm gonna probably bet we're not passing the policy manual next Tuesday.
No, I don't think we will either, but I think, you know, that this discussion is what we've been needing to have.
No doubt. And I think having that information from, at the very least from your two departments will at least help me understand what we need in terms of.
There's one other thing on the comp time. It says the department heads are responsible for current accurate comp time reports. Should that not be your HR person?
Yeah.
That will change too. When we go to our payroll system, they'll be able to input all of their own stuff. You guys will be able to approve that. And that's the whole reason we're going to do a payroll service, is to lower the amount of time that we're all having to jiggle, you know, comp time, overtime, all
What
this
service
service.
are you using?
We haven't decided yet. That's another item we have.
That's what we're gonna talk about at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 in the morning.
If a retired police officer wants to take this commission, if you guys carry this commission, if he work, we'll say with it.
On for work, it's subject to go to court.
I don't think that works.
So is that your only cell phone you guys ever
Still shows up on.
Yeah.
cell phones?
I have 2 cell phones on me right now. I have my personal one, and then I have my work phone. And my work phone I use when I'm at work, or when I'm on call. That's the number dispatch has. But the second I call a bad guy on my personal phone, my phone can now go to court.
I don't see, you know, if you got a cell phone, you got unlimited minutes on it.
But
We're not
I
talking minutes, we're talking about
agree
my
with him.
phone
I
in
don't
court.
want I would not want to use my personal phone for anything. That's the reason I have my home phone used. So I'll keep Aubrey Beautiful for Peanut Festival, so people can call that number. I will not call or use my personal cell phone for anything that's not personal for me. I don't want everybody having my number.
Well, I think.
Police officers just use
So like Kenny's department, you know, like, now that wouldn't work because all your guys got push off, right?
Yeah, I would lose the radio.
That would be hard.
I kinda talked about it with the guys, and they'd like not have carry two phones, but on the other hand, we lose the radio, and Nextel, I have to check this out, the Nextel just went through Sprint Nextel just went through a software change. Now it's not the IDN network, it's CGMA or something. On the old network, even if a tornado came through town and took out all the cell phone towers, you have no communications, our Nextel would still work in a 2-mile radius. I don't know.
So I think your department and Tommy's department, just leave it the way it is.
Yeah, I mean,
What about
I we'd lose functionality.
cell phones?
Who else has cell phones?
Fire department?
We have cell phones, but they're paid for from ambulance service.
So non-issue.
They're issued to our supervisors.
But it's not an issue. I mean, changing the policy is
No,
not going to be an issue to your
it's not an
guys.
issue for us.
So
Anybody else have cell phones? Paid cell
I
phones?
approached the city, for a stipend as opposed to carrying 2 cell phones, because in my work and being available to the public for community center and all the other things the library does, it wasn't an issue like it would be with police or public works. So at the
What is
time, the
this-
city approved the stipend based on the number of hours that I use for a work cell phone. And that works for the library. People, my personal cell phone number is everywhere. And it's okay. If it ever became a problem, I'd approach the city for something differently, but a lot of,
You just change cell phone numbers.
yeah, I just got to change my number, but,
So what's your stipend now?
it's $85
A month?
a month. And it was based on numbers from 2004 or 5.
Okay, that probably needs to be revisited, that amount. For $85 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, and internet for most plans now, so.
And on our phones that the city furnishes for us.
Say that again, Kathy?
But you don't have, so you don't,
Yes.
but you don't have a problem with reimbursing.
No, I don't, not necessarily, but I don't want to reimburse the entire cost of somebody's cell phone bill. I have 5 phones on unlimited internet, phone and text, and, sorry, not unlimited internet, unlimited phone and text, and I have a Droid device and another device attached to it, and my bill is $300 a month for 7 devices, so you can get unlimited for $70, $80 a month. I don't know who your provider is, but,
AT&T.
yeah.
And every time I've compared cost, that was the best cost for me. But
Look it up.
yeah, if you want to revisit it, revisit it.
But I think what we're talking about is just a policy for reimbursement.
Yes.
Yeah, so who do you reimburse? And who gets a bump? Are you,
Who currently
you gonna,
has-
you gonna say PD and water and sewer, you're gonna pay for their cell phones?
Who else uses cell phones in their
I'd
job?
like for ours to stay the same.
Yeah, just leave it like it is. Well, before we had, like Kathy got a stipend for her phone, Nancy got a stipend for her phone, and I don't think anybody else had a phone.
I actually punched some quick numbers the other day using the numbers that were provided, and it looked like it would be more expensive to reimburse us than it is to provide.
So what it would amount to is like, you would probably have like Isaac, you know, that would be a candidate for reimbursement.
does the
Kathy
policy-
would be a candidate.
Does the policy say who is eligible for cell phones? Isaac?
We didn't specify, specific persons, no.
But that's what we're talking
We
about.
need to do
yeah.
that.
We're talking about developing some kind of policy.
Because I honestly didn't know who all had arrangements or who had what. So, yeah, we need to fine tune this to us.
Yeah, to us, just what we want. What do we want?
Well, and I agree. I think if you make a decision that department heads get the allowances across the board, not on an individual basis.
Well, if you're
Because if
providing.
you're looking at.
Yeah, it should be the same for everybody.
That's gonna, I think it's just across the board, and this is what we do for department heads, or we don't do, and police and fire are allowed so many phones in their division, or whatever the case may be. I just like to keep it consistent across the board.
And restricted to department heads only.
Hang on, man.
This is up to you guys. I'm just long as it's consistent.
Well, if nobody else that's not a department head has one now, we wouldn't need
There's
it.
nobody else has one. Yeah, I don't have a phone, nobody else got a phone, just department heads.
Department heads and,
Currently, the only person that's got one is Kathy, I
Yeah.
think, because Isaac uses his own phone. So what kind of policy do you use?
I think we
Is that
should
what you
stick
want?
with the same one we've got. Well, we could stick with this one for Isaac and Kathy and let the police and the fires
Stay where they
I mean,
are.
the police, fire, and Kenny stay where they are.
Okay.
And clarify, stick with which one for Isaac and Kathy, the new one or the
The
two
new one.
thousand six one?
Yeah,
The
we'll have
new
to,
one?
we'll have
The
to
new
fine tune the new one, and then go back and, I mean, police department all has theirs, fire department, you guys, how many do you guys have, or how do you guys?
You know, they take care of their own, so that'd be a non-issue.
Oh, the ambulance, that's right. And then water, sewer, you guys, what exactly do you guys have on your plan? Are they split, or,
I've got nine phones. One of them's at City Hall, one of them's the on call phone, and I have 7 people. We have 2 air cards, and we have 2 air raid units that are at no charge. And the air raid
That's
units
always
are
a schedule
just
one.
boost the signal.
And
And
it's
a
scheduled
couple of
on
the
the
houses
when
that
Isaac
don't
already
get
said
good signal.
where was that?
so do any of your guys, do they take their phones home, or do they, you're saying they have 2 phones
That's
all
how
day?
I communicate with them.
Okay.
Somebody's designated on call each week, but everybody's on call 24/7.
So do they use them for personal use then?
No,
Okay.
Maybe
mine gets some personal use, but I'm the only one, everybody else carries 2 phones. So mine, 95% of the use on my phone is business.
Yep. Okay.
If my wife calls me and tells me the car is broke down, pretty much extend my personal use.
Okay, so that pretty much takes care of
That's
So that's pretty much gone
Pick
through
up
here
milk.
with, major issues. Kind of. And then there's all the little bitty nitpicking items.
Thank you for keeping us moving forward.
And I have a smartphone, everybody else just has a regular phone. And radio.
Well, we'll turn it off.
Police department always has a cell phone.
Number two is discussion of the issue of change order for quality excavation to extend the water project to the Prager and Lancer project. This is a,
Let me back up real quick. We don't have to go through this whole thing. We just put it on there in case you guys did want to discuss. So
Yeah.
we don't have to go through this entire agenda if you guys don't want. This is stuff that's coming up on your meeting next week.
we're just gonna get a synopsis of part of these things. So that one is the quality excavation. That is the water line over there from, it goes up to high school.
Yeah.
Pine Ridge. It goes from Pine Ridge up to the Hardin property. It was an EDC project that was, funded about 2 years ago. And we've been negotiating with, Landry, Prater, and Hardin to get the easements. Finally just gave up on Hardin. We're gonna put the water line in there across the Landry and, Prater properties. And it's already went through all the, approval and everything of the EDC, came to the city council, we had a published in the newspaper, had a public hearing, it was approved for $85,000 or whatever, and the cost of this right now is $36,000, and we're doing this as a change order and adding it on to the other project that they just completed, and so they're just gonna complete this part of it with that other project that they did for EDC. Anybody got any questions about what we're doing, or?
I do. Why are you doing it? Who's gonna benefit from it?
Everybody.
The whole city. You know,
Is
the
it
first
for
place, there's no water over there, there's no
Uh-huh.
fire hydrants over there, and that's in our business development, and for the EDC, that's what we wanna do, is we wanna develop our commercial property. Can't commercial property, they won't develop if they don't have water and sewer.
Well, the developers usually pay for part of that. You
We've been
go look
working
at
on
other
this.
cities, developers do pay at least 50% of it.
What
We've been
we're doing,
working on
what
this for the past 3
EDC's function
years.
is to spur development, not wait 50 years for it to get here. And that's what we're doing it for. You know, since we put in the water and sewer down there, we've got DATCU's come in there and built a brand new building. We've got Family Dollar came in there and built that building. And we've also got the Diamond Food Stores that was on the lift station. and have their property in there, we've got that completed. So, you know, I mean, it's been a good project for us, it's bought us a lot of tax dollars that's gonna be on our property tax rolls.
We've been working on it for several years.
You know, it's just like, you know, you either do capital improvement projects or you do EDC projects, it's the same thing. Anybody else have any questions about it?
No.
The other one is the water and sewer rates, and this is just basically approving the water and sewer rates. Yeah, the ordinance that we approved, you know, in the budget session. And moving from MC.
This is just a small resolution. They paid it out of the general fund for some court stuff for their software, but court has their own. They have to put funds in municipal court technology fund. We're going to use those funds to actually fund that. So that's all we're doing. We're just moving funds. They pay with the general fund. Shouldn't have. It's eligible to be paid for out of that other account. Sergeant Townsend's applying for a grant on number 5. So that'll come before you. Number 6 on the codification.
Hey, can we stop on that one?
Sure.
We had something come up the other day about grants, and Francis and I were talking, and we thought we remembered that all grants issued through the city or departments had to be approved by council. Is that right? I thought it was for all.
Hey, if somebody wants to go get free money, as long as there's no strings attached. I mean, I guess we probably do need to approve them just because there could be potential strings attached.
That's what this is.
He's bringing it to council.
He's bringing it to council. You
Yeah.
haven't submitted it yet.
Well, that's not what we're talking. I'm not talking about this one. I'm just talking about other grants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other
this one
potential
I have
grants.
submitted because there is no match, because I do remember that discussion.
Yeah.
But this is straight up, the state wants to give us free money. No, we don't have to match in kind, none of that.
No risk of a.
But it's still got to come to city
Yeah,
council.
still
all
gotta come
grants
before
have to
the
come to us
council,
for approval.
I'm just submitting a resolution so y'all can look it over and see if it's.
I'm not questioning you. I'm
Oh, no,
questioning
I'm
something totally different.
Well, we recently turned in one for CoServe that's not costing us any money, so we definitely need to get you guys approved if you need to.
I mean, so much like CoServe stuff, do you guys want to come before you guys? I mean, like them.
The main
CoServe,
issue
so-
with that was just people submitting grants that had a match or that they're gonna get something that's gonna be living and breathing for 15 years. It's gonna cost you money later on.
Right, and I don't.
We
I don't
put in
know.
for a cascade system to refill our air packs. And then
I don't know that we should leave the department heads responsible for defining whether or not there's a life expectancy.
No,
or
we
requirement.
really wanted them
So
before
all
they
need-
submitted them to come up here
They all need to
and
come to
yeah,
us.
and come to us.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We wanted them all.
Mayor, there's a CoServe Charitable Foundation grant that the library applied for during the time that we had no city secretary, no one in City Hall. And I came to you and asked for your approval to apply for it. And I did apply for it, and it's on.
Those are no strings attached.
Yeah, so it's, and Deborah's on the board, and that was brought up, so it's supposed to be on the agenda for the regular council meeting, but it is a grant that was applied for without bringing it to council first.
But it's still got to come
And
to
it has been
council and
granted.
you accept it or you
But
don't
it's
accept
coming
it.
to council whether to be accepted.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, qualification.
Okay, so codification we talked about. We budgeted $10,000 for it. So this is bringing the professional services agreement basically before you from Franklin Legal. The payroll service got it narrowed down to 2 providers. They're both right around about $5,500. I got quotes from a couple different ones, but ADP, they were really, really high. So this one from Paychex and PayChoice both came in at about $5,500.
Paychecks is a good one.
Yeah, so I was impressed. I talked to them both. They showed me online stuff. As far as usability, the systems are both robust. I like Paychex better. They seem to be a bigger company, more professional. But you guys can look at both of these. These will be given to you guys on Friday, so you can compare the two. What they're offering is pretty much the exact same thing. It's kind of a preference point that right now. But I think it'll save all of us, me, the department directors, time. I think it'll be a lot cleaner. I think it'll continuity. I mean, if I get hit by the train, I think just things keep marching on. They have to keep it a lot cleaner and allow for the future. So, and we did budget for it as well. So
This is $5,500 what?
A year.
the year. Well, sorry, that will be in the first year, and there is this because they're set up, and then from after that, let's see, it'd be about $4,800 a year thereafter.
48.
Yes.
Does it have a workflow or a approval flow that it comes, like an employee submits it, and it comes to the supervisor to check off, and then at the end it all goes to you?
Right.
Is that the way it works?
Yep.
Okay.
So then we'd also have built in for when their anniversary dates are coming up, they'll send reminders. If they want to do vacation, they'll put in their time, they'll send a request, email it to you, you can approve it or not approve it, and let you know, hey, their anniversary date's coming up, you need to do their annual interview, So things like that will automatically happen, and we don't gotta be,
But it tracks it all.
it'll track everything. And
No
you
more
guys can
manual logs.
Right, so you guys go in real time, see exactly what, the employees can go on, look at their own stuff, their vacation, their sick time, stuff like that, so, make it easier for everyone.
Save a lot of time.
Yeah.
Comp plan?
Comp plan, we have a new planner, so,
Basically, I just wanted to go over what's been done on the comp plan with the current,
Planning.
Mr. PG?
Yeah.
comp plan.
Who?
Mr. PG?
Yeah, MRPG, Mr. Dan Boutwell with MRPG, Municipal Resources Group. And, just kind of get a feel for, how you feel the process is going and see if we can't step that up.
I didn't even know it was going.
Our agreement we made about 2 years ago, council approved to move forward with it. $25,000 for phase 1 is a 3-phase.
Yeah, I knew that part. I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah,
If it
so far
happened.
they've expended $11,000 of it, but we can give a 10-day notice and terminate the contract. Chantal has experience with Kinley Horn, doing comp plans with City of McKinney and other cities as well, so we have it on staff now. So
what we were doing was thinking about terminating the contract, you taking over the comp plan and finishing it up and go from here.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm not particularly excited about the product that you've gotten. The schedule that was in the original contract was 18 months. We're in the 17th month of that. 17th month. Sorry.
A lot of turmoil in between.
Yeah. And within that 18 months, there were supposed to be all 3 phases complete, and we're not even halfway down with phase 1. So I'm just disappointed with the schedule, and I mean, there's a lot of better things that could have been done in the plan itself. So I would recommend.
Plus you'll have a little bit more hands-on and availability.
Exactly.
Well, plus her number one responsibility is to
Planning.
Aubrey,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
opposed to other clients and other things, and so,
That's
and
why
you're
I
already
said-
here, we're already assuming the burden of your salary and all the other stuff that goes along with it, so it makes kind of.
So what we would be getting was like the 14,000,
Roughly.
we would not spend that, we would.
And that's of course coming from the EDC. That was the EDC. That is saving that. Now I will have to buy a couple of programs. I probably will need
That's,
CAD
spoken
and
by somebody who
Photoshop
writes payroll
to
checks.
be able to actually
Surely
perform
someone.
quality product. But at the
But
end
you
of
can
the day,
spend
I
that with that 14,000,
Yeah,
right?
so,
exactly.
so,
That would be far more
yeah.
than enough.
That brings up another question, and we're discussing the comp plan, so she will need, that program to finish that plus all the other planning stuff that we have going on here, and we don't have the
Well,
programs
so have
currently.
you got, put that in the agenda too?
I just don't have finishing school apparently.
So you just wanna put that in the agenda to authorize the expenditure of those funds for the program, software program?
I'll pull a list
Yeah.
together.
For Adobe Master and the CAD.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get a large plot printer?
No, I am not.
Yeah, it'd be
I
fun.
mean, I would love that, but those are $10,000.
And then Sean.
Well, you got 4,000, you got 4,000 for software, 10,000 for printer.
The modeling.
sorry.
Festival poster.
That part was not included in the thing, and I'm not actually a water sewer modeler. I think that was a separate contract,
Do they have
but I'm thinking
We're just
that I
talking
should
about the
see
comp plans, all we're
the land use
talking
part of
about.
it, so that we can actually get to that part of it.
But yeah, she would be coordinating with them too.
Yeah.
They've had
Tornado
survey
fire.
crews in town this week,
Grenade base.
checking manholes and that stuff.
On behalf of Place 5 at large, I'd like to say I'm happy to assume the burden of your salary.
What'd you
Can I
say,
ask
Jason?
what her salary?
I said on behalf of Place 5, I'd like to say I'm happy to assume the burden of her salary.
Can I ask what her salary is?
You can ask.
I'm gonna ask what I get told.
No, I mean,
It's public record.
it's not a secret.
Yeah.
Fire away.
45.
Oh, yeah, 45.
Okay, number 9.
Number
Discuss
9.
using collection.
Well, hang on, before you move on, because I saw a little smirk on Glenda's face, so let's define the 45 so that everybody's clear. This isn't 45,000 in additional dollars that we weren't budgeted or
Oh,
spending
yeah,
or
because I've
anything.
heard that rumor many
This
times.
is a reallocation of other resources, and some of the salaries being assumed by the EDC department. So we're actually saving money, or we're breaking even on the position. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well, it just never was discussed during the budget workshops, so this position here was all new to me. It got hid under professional fees. correct?
No, it wasn't
No,
professional
it
fees.
was
It was his
discussed.
last
This
budget.
position here was
Because she's a
discussed.
permit tech.
This was discussed when the
Not just
reorganization,
permit tech.
when the
Not just a
reorganization.
permit tech, but, you know, but she has other duties besides permit tech, but this is in that,
The last budget workshop,
budget,
we
you
had
know,
talked
for
about
the-
it.
Discussed then and also during the restructuring of City Hall. It was discussed then
Yeah.
as well.
All right, number 9, the collection service is to collect legal property taxes. We met with Saco and Burroughs. Mark Burroughs is the mayor in Denton. They do a collection service. I'm sure they work with a number of cities around this area. As far as collections go, we don't have a lot of outstanding stuff. It was like just under, I think it was around $30,000. So the state assigns you somebody if you do, if you're contesting something or want to go collect delinquent taxes. This way we can also select our own person to do it. It's no cost to us. So
local.
they're local and they're out of Denton. So
and they're good.
and they're good.
They got tons of experience in
Yeah.
property tax work.
So
It's
it's
on
just
both sides of them, and
Yes.
so. Anyways, we have a professional services agreement for you to review at the meeting.
Let's make Mark come up here and present it for us.
Yeah, we could.
Did he really? Yeah. Make him come up here. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Tell him I said to make him come up here.
Yes. Number 10.
Okay, number 10, discuss mayoral pay. We talked about the attorney at our last meeting. Discuss the Weird Track edition. We won't have anything actually at this meeting. We met today with them, Chantal, the mayor, and I.
Hang on, before you roll right through the mayor's pay, I think there are some folks that aren't privy to the information that was gotten from the city.
Substitute attorney.
As it turns out in the municipal code, you can't change the pay for a mayor, or for any elected official for that matter, during their term.
So that is the rule, really?
It is a,
It's in the government code.
it's in the government code, yes it is. And,
Okay.
so I think any discussion of it needs to be, directed towards,
You know,
The explanation.
the discussion is like, you know, just like we always said, I think every one of us is in favor of eliminating the mayor's pay when it is statute, you know.
When
when
we're
it comes-
elected.
So at the next election, you know, we just need to have direct Isaac or whatever to put it on there as an agenda item and vote on it, and then
well,
that day it'll end.
it doesn't have to wait. We can vote on it Tuesday
Yeah,
and on at the next election.
yeah, but
So
I mean.
we can deal with it.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying, Tuesday. You know,
Yeah.
we put it on this agenda, and we vote on it, and then when that election comes up, then it will just cease to exist. And I think that's proper, you know, because that is what we're going that route, you know. Does everybody agree with that?
Full agree.
I don't have a problem with that.
Number 11 on the Weird Track, we met with Kirk Franklin and or not in their group. They seemed pretty friendly. I mean, they were willing to work with us and.
Yeah, there's some issues, but, you know, we're working through them with Clark and some legal problems.
Yeah. So that actually will not be on this
Planning
agenda.
problems.
It'll take a little more time. There's still, our attorneys sorting stuff out with them. We may have a special meeting next month.
Shock of all shocks, I thought the deal was dead if we didn't do it last month.
Yeah.
So we were gonna delay again. It's a miracle.
How many emails do you get a week from
We're
them?
shooting for
I don't
something
know, I
like
send it, they're auto deleted.
Yeah, November. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, number 12.
Spam.
Yep.
I didn't think about that one.
Straight in the spam folder.
And if anybody would like an update on that weird track and discussions and stuff like that, if you'll see Chantal, she will update either one of you, all of you individually before that comes up. Number 12, discuss appointing a city administrator. You know, right now, we do not have the official position of city administrator. All we have is city secretary. And what this is to discuss appointing a city administrator and put it on there to get, you know, everybody to think about it and get your ideals and your opinions. And
I'm interested in the opinion of the department heads, because it changes their functionality and structure a little bit. I'm curious to know what they think.
Well, I'm never shy of expressing an opinion, but it's just an opinion. I think that with the number of employees and the municipal infrastructure that the city has, that it is time for a city administrator. Department heads in the 10 years I've been here have rules and policies and procedures that change on a whim, and having professional management of the city makes council's job easier. It presents a clear and unified voice to your citizens, and it provides a unified structure for all management decisions and policies and procedures. So I have felt like for a while that this city was ready for a city manager or a city administrator, depending on how you want to term it. The placement of that and the way that it occurs, of course, is up to council. And I don't know if the other departments heads want to weigh in at this council meeting, but I know that.
My question is, do we have salary for it?
I don't know if we have it, but
doesn't have anything to do with salary.
you're just discussing it philosophically, right? You're not saying someone in particular.
Oh, it's not like
No, you
immediately
can
do it.
have city secretaries, city administrators, both of them. That's what Catherine is down there in Krugerville. Same
Is that-
salary, same, you know,
is that what it's
you
gonna
just
be
give
here?
them the title. Yeah.
Is it gonna be a city administrator / city secretary?
It could
Are
be.
y'all gonna-
You know,
Is it
it
going
could
to be, or are they gonna bring in a city secretary?
We're discussing it. We're
Okay.
discussing it.
That's why it says discuss appointing.
And with all the growth and the infrastructure, you know, I just managed one department, and the management of that department ran so much smoother when we had an admin. So a city manager in this city is going to need some clerical support, period. Expecting, as Councilmember Myers, I hate to quote her when she's not here, said she had one opinion when she didn't sit in the position. She had a completely different opinion when she walked a mile in those shoes. So,
She also said she wants to raise taxes to solve the problem with Aubrey, and that ain't gonna fly, so.
Now, don't be bashful
But,
people
you
when
know,
they're on here.
speaking.
I bashed her when she was here.
You know,
I'm not.
speaking as a mayor and been here for a while, you know, a city administrator has long been needed here and a city manager. And one thing that position would do and why they have needed one is because, just speaking from experience, you're elected as mayor not because you have a degree in business administration or city administration or whatever like that. You're elected as mayor because you run for that position. And you need somebody with that education and that background and the expertise at doing that job.
Well, and the other half of it too is you run another business outside of here.
You do.
And it's
You're
hard
not
for you
here
to-
full time.
Well, and your number one focus at the end of the day is not Aubrey. And if it is, you're crazy. Your wife should probably divorce you. I mean, your family and your job and those things are your number one priority. Isaac's number one priority, or whoever that person's gonna be, and I certainly have Isaac in mind for that position, that his number one responsibility, when he wakes up in the morning, when he goes to bed at night, every waking minute in between is, what can I do to make Aubrey better? How can I make it run more efficiently? How can I spend the money wiser, and all sorts of stuff. So I'm in total agreement with the mayor. This is a long overdue.
What it does is it clarifies the
hierarchical
the hierarchical
structure of the city.
Yeah. So in other words, if we create this position of city administrator, the department heads will then report to the city administrator, and then from there it'll go up to the mayor and council.
I think it would be good, to have a city administrator, because it'll take some of the decisions I have to make and put it in someone else's driver's seat.
Well, there's somebody that's there every day, all the time too.
And you currently have a mayor that has some obligation to making decisions and to being available because he's paid, and if you're gonna remove that pay, then the next mayor we have, be it Gary or someone else, may not be as willing to devote that time to us as department heads and our needs. So I think it's very appropriate at this time for you to appoint a city administrator.
Isaac, have you ever been a city administrator before?
No. But you have a degree in public administration, don't you?
And I think maybe from my perspective, more importantly from a qualification standpoint, you've run successful businesses, you've been CEOs of companies before. So I mean, I think from a qualification perspective, you certainly fit the bill.
Well, and every outstanding city administrator that's out there today started at day one somewhere.
That's right.
I think it would streamline our business end of it, things would get done, quicker, by using an administrator and having to wait for the mayor to be here available to us. I mean, we will have him every day, 5 days a week there to deal with instead of having to wait.
And you remember that,
So like I say, it's a discussion, it'll be on the agenda, and that's one of the items on the agenda. So.
But I see no reason to wait to appoint a city administrator. I mean, Isaac's the guy I think he's here, he's on payroll, there's no risk. There's no reason to wait. I mean, I think that should be on the agenda for Tuesday and be done with it. Then your responsibilities to the city are reduced greatly. You go out there and make some more money and pay some higher taxes.
Volunteer more.
13, let's discuss the FY 2012-13 budget and expenditures.
The main reason I put that on there, and I wasn't sure exactly how to phrase this, was just the fact that we heard back from Blue Cross Blue Shield. This does impact our budget.
Hey, I'll listen up. This is important.
The fact that our rates came back from Blue Cross Blue Shield. We originally, as we all went through the health insurance thing, the city budgeted $490 per employee. With changes in personnel and other things, they came back, and I think our insurance agent did a really good job going back to them. Finally got our final rate back to 300. Instead of 400, 491.20, it went down to 357.73. So that's $133.47 per month per employee. So if you annualize that for the 32 employees that we have receiving health insurance benefits, from what we budgeted, we'll see a 51% savings to our budget.
Yeah.
So 51,000 times 32 is going to be the savings?
51,000, yeah.
51 is the total.
Yeah,
It's a total savings. Sorry, so it's $1,600 per employee. 1,601.
No, but in the bottom it
the
says
per
savings
employee
annually
part
per
should be
employee.
removed.
Yeah, it's not per employee.
It should just say 51,000 savings annually.
Here, let me fix that.
Okay, I got rid of that.
Did anybody screenshot that before she changed it?
Okay, so the discussion is going to be for you to figure out is what do you want to do with that 51,000.
take up Townsend on his 50% off.
Buy his
Telling you.
time.
Without cover.
What do you think?
50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, I mean,
So we could give it
Fund
to the
seniors in
employee.
motion for $4,000 a year, or whatever it is.
What?
Something I was
Seniors.
kind of thinking about is what was it? You're talking about rolling for an employee.
Use it for their family?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
family. What I was actually thinking about is we can either do that or roll half and then put the other half towards savings.
That would be a good idea.
Half of an HSA.
Yes.
well, look, they're not getting anything less by us having negotiated cheaper rates. I'd just be fine putting that money in the bank. We've got infrastructure problems. We've got a million other things wrong in Aubrey that we are going to need to fix going forward. Our negotiated savings is a benefit to the city. I don't see any reason to pass that along.
What is it, a car?
Well, I mean, that's,
It's
I,
a part of it needs to go towards, what is it? Help me, chief.
And new fire truck,
But then we'd have to do a budget amendment. We
Can
can't do
I
that.
make one comment?
Yeah.
And that's just keeping in mind for this next, I mean, you see what bare bones we were at this year, just thinking next year of how originally they had proposed a 20% increase for us this year.
But this should have already been discussed before the budget was ever passed, should it not? Should this not have already been done?
they don't give us the final rate
We
on
just
the
got these
policy
rates 4 days
until.
ago.
That's right.
They went back.
Oh, yeah,
Once they got our
it's
final
been
enrollment.
discussed, but when you get your final enrollment, that October the 1st, they set your rates and they give them.
They
What,
said-
what they do
They'll
when
give
is
you
they,
a preliminary rate, but
Right.
they will not give you a final rate.
They-
They'll
they
give
define
you
your-
they won't give you your new cards until after you've already started, and it's every time it's after the effective date.
and it's based on the employees that are working and in the insurance pool at the time that the policy goes into effect. That's why it
The
has to
old
wait.
policy was in effect.
It,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
always that way with insurance
they
companies.
base their estimates on
The
the
estimate
old
was on
policy.
the old policy. The final rates are based on who's in the pool and what's available and all sorts of stuff. That's why.
On October the 1st.
Right. That's why you can't get a dead solid final number until the rate goes into effect.
Because you sign everybody.
Are you really beefing over a $51,000 savings to the
Yeah.
city?
Excuse me, I sat through this budget and listened to y'all talk about you don't have money, you hammer the library, and then you come back and you.
Well, we
got
didn't know it.
51,000.
Well, that's the
Give
thing.
it back to her.
We didn't know how much we were going to save by doing some of the changes that we made, including the judge's insurance.
Yeah,
and
that
some
made
of
a
that
big,
other
that made a
stuff.
big.
We had no idea how that was going to impact you.
And we had no idea what he was going to do, exactly.
That's true.
Give it back to her, took it away.
We didn't take that away from anywhere.
It's the city's money, we keep it.
That did not come from the library's budget. That 51,000, and it's well. You can run for council, sit up here on the bench, and you can vote for the money to go back to the
I'm
library.
just backing up what you guys are saying.
You're not backing up what
No,
I'm saying.
I'm repeating what y'all.
But anyway, until.
You're not repeating a word that I've said. I've never said anything like that.
Yeah, but until next Tuesday night on the agenda, this is going to be up for discussion and action. So at that time, you will get to make a final decision on what you want to do with this. In the meantime, you can think about it, you can change your mind. Anybody, here we are.
Flip your page over.
What's next?
You're on the back.
Number 14.
Number 14 is discuss keep Aubrey beautiful. It's not an
We
issue.
don't have.
There's no issues.
It's
There's
items.
no issues.
It's
We have
items.
no.
Hey, great thing.
Semantics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be real careful.
So what are the items?
We can't talk about it.
Yeah, we can.
We haven't approved them yet. We
It
don't want to
says,
give it to you.
it says discuss the items.
Well, what we're gonna discuss is when we have our next regular meeting, we're gonna approve the bylaws, and we're gonna appoint directors, and we're gonna elect officers. And we can't do that until we have a regular meeting.
And then that's gotta come to the city council to be approved.
And then we gotta bring it to y'all, so we really can't talk about it here until, as a committee, we've done it.
We're not talking about who you're gonna appoint or anything, we're just talking about discuss those items, what we're gonna be discussing.
Okay, it's gonna happen, but it's not gonna happen until November.
Okay.
And other than that, the
So
other
this
issues are.
item will not be on your
We had
Tuesday
an
agenda.
excellent peanut festival. We had more people than we ever thought we'd ever have. We had no rain. and it was wonderful.
It was good.
Can we shorten that paragraph up? That was a long one. Golly.
It's been that, it used to be longer.
Hey, that Mr. Peanut
My goat
enjoyed
was
the
dead
whole
by the time we
ride.
got.
Who was that?
Keelan.
Keelan?
Keelan.
He enjoyed it so much, he asked if he could wear that suit all day.
And he did wear it all day.
Yeah, and he had every kid followed him like a Pied Piper.
Well, it was probably warm.
That was a hit. That was the best $25 we ever
Okay,
spent.
well, we're talking about Keep Aubrey Beautiful items. One issue is like, you're gonna get that done, and then the next issue we're gonna probably bring up, when we Keep Aubrey Beautiful is
A contract.
a contract, and then the other item is gonna be insurance.
Yes.
Getting it on, the insurance item will come back up again for discussion. So, just be aware that those items will be up for discussion probably in the November. So if you've got any questions or any comments or anything like that, get with Isaac and Deborah and see if you can. Number 15
Good peanut festival.
is discuss the interlocal agreements.
You'll have a bunch of interlocal agreements coming at you, the last ones that we haven't gotten. Can't remember what all they are off the top of my head, but they're just the regular, same ones we've always had every year. That's all.
Thanks for the specifics.
Yeah, sorry. I don't wanna get, it's almost not, it's after 8:45.
And then the next item is adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
I moved that we adjourn.
I already did.
Oh, I
All in
second
favor?
it.
Okay, we're adjourned.